All right, we're live. Wow, this thing's good.
Yeah, I got a purple one.
Shoot, I'm taking this blue one right now. Maybe that's why I put it here. Welcome everyone. It is Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Oh shoot.
Bad luck.
And I'm working on the stereo in my GT3. That's a bad idea. Bad idea. I don't do that kind of superstitious nonsense.
I'm impressed that you're taking on that challenge.
Yeah.
Brand new car.
So I have used these. So I had this, a key tag from a original RS door pull. I think I paid $180 or something for it back in the day. I still have it.
Yeah.
It's a little dirty. I probably need to clean it. But I asked Bryce, I said, couldn't we make these where you could get whatever color you want? And so he's been working on this for 2 years. And now he finally has it where it looks identical, or looks
pretty good.
a lot like the seatbelt material that would be in a Porsche of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And so now these are, this is my favorite kind of key tag. You can kind of flip it around and put it on your little odometer reset thingy.
Yep.
And on a Porsche, and it stays out of your way and doesn't hit me in the leg. But I think these are all available in the store in all these different colors. I'm taking this blue one for sure.
Yeah, I like it because it won't scratch your key fob either.
Yeah, I think these are probably good enough that if you wanted to swap it in your car, if you wanted to change the color.
I wonder if you could do that.
I mean, you definitely can. I just didn't know if these were good enough, and I think they are. It's pretty sweet. So, the guys went to get my laptop, so get your questions in. But Chris is, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. I never listened to him. I'm sure he told me.
On a bourbon adventure somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. I never listen to what he tells me. Yeah, I don't listen to what you tell me either. I don't listen to what anybody tells me.
I sort of listen to you.
So I don't know what he's doing, but we're gonna dig into Mike's sordid past here. We're gonna get into
Sordid,
because Chris is not as good at. He lets you off the hook, so he doesn't not as good of a job of interviewing you as I am.
Didn't get real deep. We got a little surfacey.
Yeah, so everybody wants to know the Mike F story. They want to know where you came from. They want to know how you got here. They want to know all this crap. How does Mike know how to do everything? Those kind of questions are one of the most common. And I've been promising this podcast for however long we've been here. A year and a half.
Almost 2 years.
You're coming up on 2 years, right?
2 years, November 5th, I think.
Yeah. Yep. So we're moving quickly.
Yeah.
I'm going back to my 8-year-old Maddie 8 years ago, man. I had 225 today.
That's pretty good. Yeah, you look pretty svelte tomorrow.
Man. Yeah, I'm gonna melt this off. I'm freaking starving right now.
Well, now that you've kind of over the hump where you feel like you can do it, I bet you're gonna start.
Yeah, I feel fitter, I feel lighter, I feel like I can work out harder, which means that it kind of snowballs. It's hard to get over the hump, and then I don't have a big desire to eat anything stupid. I'm too far gone in the opposite direction now to mess it up.
Well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Once you get so far and you put so much into it, you definitely don't want to give up now.
Yeah,
because then you'd be hating yourself.
I'm getting to the live stream here so I can get on.
What were you? Were what, 250-ish?
Yeah, 248 I'm saying is my peak.
Yeah.
And so I'm at 225. Man, that was a short little stint. I'm probably 227. So I'm down about 20, 21, 22 pounds.
That's significant though.
I don't really have a goal. I just kind of want to see where it goes. I'd probably like to try to flirt with 205. Would be kind of cool. So if I had another 20.
That'd be good.
Yeah, if I get there, I'm going to buy a whole new wardrobe because nothing's going to fit.
You need an excuse to shop. Come on.
All right, so let me go to our content. Let me go live stream. And I never do the questions, so I don't know where the heck this stuff is. And so let me do the pop out, live stream. Where the heck is that?
Well, people always want to know how we met, how we ended up knowing each other. You could start there.
Yeah. Where the heck is this stupid... There's a specific pop-up, and every time I do this, I have to go find... Oh, it's right here. Options. Nope, that's not it. Well, this is annoying. Let me just go on the live.
Should we talk about cinnamon rolls while we're waiting?
All right. All right, first, Chris doesn't do this right. You're supposed to do the super chats first. He holds them up because he doesn't. Oh, this is what I do. And then I do a pop out chat here. Pop out chat, boom, and then I can see it. And let me search it by not top, but by chronological live. And then Anthony Ben Anti. He says Eminem best duo. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for the super chat. So let's go back to. Let's start at the beginning, Mike.
Okay.
We didn't get deep enough. So where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the Bay Area, California.
Mm-hmm.
Actually born in Richmond. My dad was a Richmond firefighter, and back when he started, you had to live in the city you worked in. So it was, I guess, you'd say now it's ghetto. Really, it's kind of a comeback now a little bit. They're trying to. There's a bit of a resurgence in the area. But anyway, that's where I grew up. We moved when I was 8 or 9 from Richmond to a new town called Hercules. So we were the 7th family to move in this small little town. I was nobody. I had no friends to play with. But the beauty was I could go out and shoot my BB gun and do kind of boy stuff.
How far was that?
How far?
Like how far of a move was it?
Oh, it was like 10 miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It wasn't like
it was
5
close.
hours.
It was
away or
close,
something.
but it was night and day difference between where we were from, where we lived before, to Hercules. It was a brand new town. Everything was sparkling. There was, it wasn't like there was no garbage or trash. There was no people really, so it was nice.
So was that a come up? Like the house?
Oh yeah,
was it a house
definitely.
upgrade?
Yeah, my mom and dad bought their first house when they got married for like $8,000, and that was like in 1964, I think. And then they bought this house. It was a big move. It was $55,000. And this is 1977.
Okay.
So I was first grade maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where I kind of got my start too. Is my dad, the house we bought was already done. So when we bought this house, my dad was, we would build a fence. We were building with a hot tub, did everything, all the landscaping. So I was like, I was always into anything project related. So
And you're the oldest?
Mm-hmm.
It's just you and your sister?
My sister, yeah, she's 2 years younger than me.
Okay.
So I was like my dad's shadow. Anything I could get into, and I got to give it to him. I mean, he let me do anything that I was willing, or wanted to do. I mean, he would never say, no, I don't want you messing with that tool. No, you'll get hurt. He just, I always had that desire. Anything mechanical, anything construction related, I was all over it. I mean, he had to, tell me to go to bed, because I wanted to work and fix stuff and be in the garage nailing 2x4s together. So when we moved there, it was like, it was a brand new start. There was nothing. It was a blank slate. Back then they didn't give you a yard even. It was dirt,
So he was handy.
Yeah, he was.
Did they hire anybody to do anything?
No, we did it. So to back up a little further, my grandfather, my mom's dad, I think a lot of this is genetic. I think when you have a kind of a gift, whether you're musically inclined or mechanically inclined, I think a lot of that is I believe it's genetic. So my grandfather, my mom's dad, was a typewriter repairman, and that's obviously before computers. This is in the 50s, 40s and 50s, and they're sophisticated pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
He'd take them all apart completely and put them all back together. And then my grandfather, my dad's dad, he was an aircraft mechanic. In fact, he was in the Army Air Force in Pearl Harbor. When Pearl Harbor got bombed, my grandfather was there. My grandmother was pregnant with my dad, and so he worked on airplanes. And then he started work for General Motors. And then my dad was always around them, doing mechanical things. And he had the the desire and the he wanted to do some type of construction. So he ended up being a firefighter, but his side gig was always building, so it was swimming pools, and then stuff around the house. He was just, he was gifted just, like my grandfather's. So he picked up on it, and I learned from him.
So was he 24 on, 48 off?
Yeah, he was. They had so back then it was 24 on, 24 off, and you did that 4 times, and then you're off for 4 days. So he had tons of free time.
Yeah.
Most firemen do.
Yeah.
Most of them have a side hustle.
Yeah.
So his was the swimming pool business. So got into just service and repair, and then he started building a few pools. So I was his shadow. Every summer I was working. I started working when I was 11, and doing heater repairs, pump repairs, and then we got into building some pools.
Was he paying you then?
Yeah. So when I was servicing pools, this seemed like a lot of money back when I was a little kid. I was $1 a pool.
Okay.
So if we did 12 a day, service, I'd get $12, and I'd save all summer. I had always a brand new BMX bike. I had stuff my other friends didn't have because I worked. I mean, granted, they had a lot of free time that I didn't have, but it instilled in me that if you work hard, you can get stuff. And it drove me from that day on. I just was hard at it. I mean, it was, free times, I'm like you, kind of wired to always move forward in projects, and I don't really like to just sit around.
So was your sister disinterested in this path, this life? She was different, opposite?
Yeah, my sister wasn't into it. My sister was into hanging out with her friends. I mean, she was a good kid, but she worked for my mom at the store a little bit. We had a storefront. She did that a little bit, but it was never her thing. She grew into what she does now. She's a project manager for an HVAC company. She's coming to her own, but back when I was a kid, no, she didn't like working. She didn't do any of that stuff. So it was more me.
So then you're working summers, working nights, as you starting early, you're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. So what is elementary school like for you? Are you playing sports, or are you
baseball? Baseball is always my favorite sport. So played baseball, played some football, played soccer. Never was gifted at basketball. I can shoot. I'm a good outside shooter, but I don't have the height. So yeah, baseball was my thing. And then I got big into BMX bikes. So I was racing BMX. I was doing freestyle and riding half pipes and full pipe, or half pipes and quarter pipes. So that was really, I got into that heavy when I was probably 14, 15. I got sponsored. So that was kind of my downtime. But again, I was working so much, I couldn't focus as much as I needed to really go big and really be sponsored and go to LA with all the, Haros and those guys and really get really good, So yeah, it was all about just having fun. But I loved to build bikes, much like you. I'd get on through this catalog and order all the parts and pieces and, goosenecks and cranks and frames and just the whole build process. And then I'd just have it in my room. Wouldn't even ride it half the time just because it was my to look at bike,
Yeah.
So,
did you ever sell any of them?
Yes, I did. I I did it so I could build another one. Yeah. And back then there was no online, so it was catalogs.
Yeah.
So I just get every catalog I could out of BMX Plus or BMX Action. I would order all the catalogs and buy all that stuff for them. That was a lot of fun. I spent, thousands of dollars on bicycles back then.
And so then what about, like junior high, high school, anything comes to mind there? Like what's your path like?
Car obsession. Trucks, really, back then it was trucks. I had, I bought a brand new, in 1985, I bought a brand new Toyota SR5 four-wheel drive. I bought it from Berkeley Toyota. My friend's dad was the vice president of Berkeley Toyota. So I got the deal. I got it for like $12,000, brand new.
This is at 16?
I was 16, yeah.
So you got a new car from the dealership.
And I had a payment. I remember it to this day, $297.97 a month.
Okay.
But I was working. So my dad and mom decided, we'll co-sign for you because you've worked since you were 11. So we'll co-sign. So I had that payment for 5 years. I wasn't even like, I think it must have given me some credit. I mean, so I built my credit a little bit, but I didn't even have a way to look at that back then. But yeah, so I was, it was lift kits. I went from a 3-inch lift, 6-inch lift, 12-inch lift. By the time I was done, I had 22 inches of total lift with 44-inch tires, super swampers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so stupid now. I look back, I'm like, gosh, that looked ridiculous. But back then, that was in. Now, now it's the squatted trucks and the big low-profile tires. Things come and go. But anyway, that was my obsession in high school. I actually bought my first Toyota from my dad when I was 16. I just turned 16. I bought a Toyota SR5, two-wheel drive, root beer brown. I put, I think I put Inkies on it and BF Goodrich radial TAs because there was not a whole lot to choose from back then like there is now. Anyway, 5-speed, it was kind of a fun truck. It lasted about a year, and then I bought the new truck. So I started early with cars and trucks, and then I traded that Toyota in, the big one, the lifted truck. I traded that in on a Toyota Supra. So I bought a Mark IV Supra, or Mark III Supra.
So that's the round one, not the square one.
Not the square. It's not. Yeah, it's after that one. So this is a 1990 Toyota Supra Turbo, target top, manual transmission. Had that car for about 2 years, 2.5 years. Did a bunch of stuff to that. I sent that off to Texas to a place called Car Tech, and they did back then, which seemed like a lot of horsepower, 450 horsepower. It ran pretty good. It would beat all the Corvettes.
Yeah,
that's what all they really cared about, because I had disdain for Corvettes from an early
So that
age.
was still in high school?
That was
Or that was
no, I
post-high
was in college. No,
Okay.
I was actually going to. I had gotten my associates, and I was at Heald Institute of Technology. It was a technical college for electronics.
So you're getting ahead of me here. So
Yeah,
high
okay.
school,
Yep.
you playing baseball for the high school team?
I
or-
did. I played baseball at Salesian.
Okay.
It was an all-boys Catholic high school, so there was
Ooh.
no girls. So
Okay.
I had nothing to focus on except sports
Okay.
and cars.
Just baseball for the high school team?
No, I played football my freshman year.
Okay.
Did try out for wrestling, made it, but I just didn't like it. I didn't like honestly, I didn't like the suits you had to wear. I was not about that.
Yeah.
And we had actually a really good coach too. Osterholt was his name. He was an Olympic wrestler. It would have been good. I probably would have liked it eventually, but I turned my nose up at it for baseball.
Okay.
And I just focused on that.
What position did you play?
Shortstop and pitched.
Okay.
Played a little bit of left field, but only as a backup.
Yeah, I'd picture you as a shortstop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more of a put me in the right field so that the ball doesn't come to me kind of guy.
Yeah. I get kicked in the teeth a couple of times from baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad hops. Yeah.
So then you make the choice. So you graduate from high school, and
Yep.
what are the choices? What are you doing?
The
What are you
choices
thinking?
are okay. So I did not like school. I was much like you had mentioned. I did enough. I didn't put much effort in. Had I put effort in, I probably could have got straight A's. But I was doing so much other stuff that school wasn't high on the priority. Straight A's were not. My parents would have loved it if I had done that, but I was more of a C+, B- student.
I'd imagine you, hyper little Mike, not great attention span back then, maybe
Yeah, probably. You could say that. Yeah, I would say
chasing
that.
rabbits all over the place.
Yeah, my mind was always thinking, what am I going to do when I get out of this class? What do I want to go to build? Where am I going to go? Where am I going to go work? I want to buy this. I want to do that. And that's kind of what drove me to work hard is and just the passion for wanting stuff, I guess, And school was just a means to an end. I'd want to get my diploma, get out. My parents really, really wanted me to go to college. They wanted me to go to 4-year, but I didn't have the grades. So my thought was, okay, I'll go to Diablo Valley College. I'll get my associates, which I did, and then I'll transfer to like Hayward State or Sac State or something like that. But in the meantime, I was working. I started to work for an electrical contractor, and I saw dollar signs. I was making good money. I'm like 19 years old, making back then $25 an hour. And I had money. I had the car. I just was like, I wanted a new jet ski. I bought a dirt bike. And I thought, let me go to something that I can actually use. So I went to a technical school. I was talking to this guy that was an electrician. He's like, if you work for like Chevron, a refinery or somebody, they really want people with electronics background. So I went to the school. I don't even know if Heald Institute of Technology still exists, but it's an 18-month course. You end up with an associate in science. So I did that. So I was learning, we built PCs and stuff like that. So it was really fundamental. You learn the fundamentals, Ohm's law, resistors and capacitive reactance and all that kind of stuff. You probably remember some of that stuff. Anyway, so I did that. And then I started working. I got placed at a job, Bank of America, as a hardware technical support. There's a big data center in Concord, California. So there's 4 big buildings. So they were hiring. It was a graveyard shift. I was going to school in the morning from 7 a.m. I got off at 3. So this was a graveyard shift. So it worked out for me. I could work and go to school. So I was doing that, and I hated it. I absolutely hated the corporate life. I hated working there. It was boring. It was nothing I was interested in. So I did it for about 18 months. And then this company, the company I left to come here, was hiring for a plant maintenance position.
Okay.
And I had plenty of experience, but I was young. I was 21 years old. I thought these guys are never going to hire me.
Yeah.
You know? So my then, well, who would have been my future father-in-law was actually the president of the company. And I thought, I don't want to use his name and try to get in that way. Let me just give my resume, talk to the guy that's hiring, and see if they'll let me have a chance. So they did. And so I started working there when I was 21.
So when you say maintenance, explain that for people. What does that mean? Because
So-
they think janitor.
Yeah,
right?
no.
Like the janitor?
So
or was
no. So maintenance then was we had roughly 1,000 pieces of equipment, anything from lathes to mills, CNC machines, plasma cutting machines, welding machines, metal forming machines like press brakes and and rolls that would roll cylinders. You name it. Anything that we built, basically, we built pressure vessels and heat exchangers for oil refineries. So it was mostly mechanical stuff. But at the time I started there, the company was expanding. So they kind of gave me free reign. I was doing construction. I was adding on to metal buildings. I was adding bathrooms. So I got to do it all. And I had one guy that was ahead of me, an older gentleman that was worked for the Navy. His name was Fred. He didn't do a whole lot. He kind of managed me a little bit, and then he ended up retiring. After about 2 years I was there, and they just let me go hog wild, whatever I wanted to do. So if we didn't hire much out, I did it all. And to back up a little bit, I also had a buddy. So how I got into the construction end of it, I was doing swimming pools with my dad. I was working for Hutchins Electric. This is my dad's friend that had an electrical contracting business. So I was working for him on the side.
This is right out of high school.
Out of high school, even before out of high school.
You're doing associates.
Yep.
Right, and so you're doing in high school you're doing pools and part-time with the
electrician. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Then you decide you're going to go to college. Is that at home? Are you living at home?
I'm living at home. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a local college. It's like 15 minutes from the house.
Okay. So you're doing that, and you got the job at Bank of America.
Yeah.
Are you still doing pool stuff then?
Yep.
So you're still doing pools whenever you
did
can?
on the weekends. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then I was working for a contractor too. He was general contractor.
Okay. So he'd just have odd work, and
I just do whatever.
You have some time on a Tuesday.
Yeah. So what I was doing for him was I was doing the electrical, like panel change outs, and if he was building and doing an addition, I would do all the run all the circuits for add a sub panel and do all that stuff for him.
So were you in apprenticeship, or you're just doing it?
I was in apprenticeship. Yeah, okay. I was at the time, and it was kind of cool because this guy John signed me up and got me in, even though he wasn't union. But he finagled. He knew a guy that knew a guy, and so it was great. So I didn't have to work full time.
Okay.
I just had what I was supposed to do was work with him for 4 years. I was going to school too. I was taking classes, and then 4 years in, I get my journeyman card. So
gotcha.
So anyway, I was working for this guy Don, who's actually a friend of mine. He lives in North Carolina now. And I got into the construction, and he was like, you want to help me? I could, frame, this and that. And I pick up everything quick. It just makes sense to me. I can't explain it. It's like if I even watch somebody do something, I can do it. It's I know a lot of people are like that, but it just comes natural to me. I don't really need to learn it. I can just figure it out. And a lot of things just make sense to me. It's kind of intuitive. I don't know how to explain that. But anyway, so I was working with him. We were building houses. We did a couple spec houses. So I was framing, doing pretty much everything. We did the finished carpentry, did some plumbing. And I was 19, 20. So that was really where I got into the construction bug, if you will. And then since I had that knowledge, when I worked for the company I left to come here, I know how to do that.
You could use that in your interview, and right.
Yep. And then
say, hey, I know how to do this,
exactly. I said, let me do it. I'll save, instead of hiring a contractor, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And while I'm doing it by myself, I had helpers and stuff. I could go grab somebody, and it would always, I remember we had a quote to have 2 bathrooms added in one of our shops, and it was like $66,000. And I did it in 3 weeks, and the materials cost $14,000. So they were like, "Oh wow, this is great. We saved like 30 grand." You know, so they just, that kind of gave me the green light to do whatever I felt like I could get done.
So then you have the old man retires. Did they promote you, or
yeah,
they just...
yeah. So at that time, he retired. I was 24. They put me in charge of all the maintenance. So we had 120 employees and about 1,000 pieces of equipment. So they just said, you know, you're the guy now. We'll give you a big raise. You know, this was in the 90s, early 90s. So they gave me a big raise and said, yeah, you're the guy now. And I always, even though I was doing that, we had some overtime. Sometimes we'd work, you know, 600-700 hours a year in overtime when we weren't busy, because it was basically we were dependent on the refineries. When they're shut down to have equipment repaired, we were busy and we'd work overtime. But when we weren't, it was a normal 40-hour week.
So how does that work? Like if you're on a big project or something, did they have like approved and unapproved overtime, or like you?
Yeah, I was my own department.
Because if you were salaried, right?
I was salary with overtime. So they broke my salary down into an hourly rate. Gotcha. And then I would get time. If I worked 8 to 10 hours, I would get time and a half. And then anything beyond 10, I would get double time.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was great. So
I don't do that for Mike. I'd be broke.
Well, back then, you know, it wasn't a lot of money per hour either.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha.
But I mean, it's all relative. I guess then it was making a lot of money, and I left there making good money. But yeah, it was you know, it's the incentive. You know, if you want to get something done, you can work. And I was my own department, so I got to choose. You know, I reported to the president of the company. So if I had a budget every year, and I was always under that budget, so they never really questioned it. If I wanted to work extra, get something done, I could just do it. But you know, in the meantime, I was still hustling, doing side work.
Okay.
It was hard for me to say no, and I didn't advertise. I just had my license, and people would call me, hey, I know a guy, you know, talk to him. And if I want to do the job, I would do it. Other times I, you know, say, nah, I just don't want to do this. But I could cherry pick. You know, I was doing remodels, a lot of kitchen, bath remodels. I did a few additions. When I was building swimming pools, I did a couple of swimming pool houses. So it's like shower, bathroom, bar, all that. Those were fun. So I was always doing that while working at my last job. But
so most of the time you were, what, 7 to 3 or something?
Yeah, I would work 6 to 2:30 usually.
Okay. So then you had the whole afternoon to run the kids around.
Yeah, the kids were in school and they went to after school care.
Yeah.
So I picked them up at 6, get them home. I did all my estimating, go through plans and all that stuff when they were asleep. Wake up, take them to school, get them ready, get them to school, work, get off, go do my thing until I had to pick them up after school care. And then
so we're jumping ahead here. So you're 24. You take over the main.
Yep.
You know, what was the title then called?
I was plant maintenance superintendent.
Okay. And then when do you get married? You know, when do you marry?
Got married in 92. So
that was how old?
I was 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're married a couple of years before, basically right when you start.
your
career.
Yeah. Yep. So I started working for that company in 90, got married in 92.
Okay.
And then first kid, Taylor, was born in 95.
Okay.
And then Trevor, 97, and my last, Cameron, 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell the single dad story or what?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind. Yeah. So made it through about 13 and a half years, 14 years of marriage. And without being specific, it just didn't work anymore. You know, we basically parted ways. I kept the house. I bought her out of the house. And she bought a new house. And then we had the kids, what was supposed to be 50-50. I lucked out and had them a little more. She was busy and she was just getting into a relationship, so worked out for me because I could not stand not to have my kids. Honestly, it was the toughest thing ever.
Yeah, you're super dad.
I just loved it. So anyway, you want me to get emotional? Talk about my kids, man. It'll happen quick.
So you're doing well, but now you got to give half your money away.
Yeah,
so now you've really got to do other jobs.
That's exactly right. So before it was the extra. It was the buying the 5,000 square foot house and having a Lexus and having a new car or truck for me and
Right.
having a pool and being able to do whatever, it goes from that to now it's necessity. I don't have the funds to have extra anymore. I got to pay a lot because I'm the breadwinner and I
Right.
was making good money.
You're in California,
Yeah,
so
yep.
the spouse, no matter what the circumstances are, gets
That's 100% right. They get what they get.
a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. They use what's called a Decimaster that gives you that puts a number, says this is what you owe after tax.
Yeah.
So then you're forced. It's like now I'm juggling. I'm single dad doing everything we talked about, and then luckily I had that side hustle because I couldn't have done it on my just my job at the time. This is in early 2000s. I couldn't have done it. So hustling saved me. It saved the house. It kept the kids in the house they grew up in. It kept them in private school. That and my in-laws. My in-laws chipped in too. So between that, it saved me. I mean, I don't think I could have done a lot of what I did without side hustling.
So you were still working with your dad.
Yeah.
So he would have some jobs where he'd pull you in on.
Yeah. So my dad, they owned the swimming pool business for quite a long time, but he ended up retiring, selling the business. So
Okay.
I was working with him early on, but they sold the business. My dad retired from the fire department in about 97, 98. And then they had the business through early 2000s.
Okay.
So they would feed me some work sometimes, hey, you want to do an equipment change out, where it's out of our area. So I would go do that.
Yeah.
But now as far as working for them, I didn't do it much. I did my own. So I started building pools.
Got it.
And
Okay.
that was where I had the experience. I went back on the experience, not only just construction, but doing stuff with my dad. And I had a few subs that I had good relationships with. I had a good gunite guy. And a good tile guy, concrete guy, and then I just started. I'd build one. I built my own first. So we bought the house. I built my own pool, and then I did 12 or 13 custom pools.
And so you would, what would that be, like once a quarter or something? How
Yeah,
long did that
I
take
do
to
3 or
build?
4 a year. Yeah, they're. I mean, the ones I was doing, again, I was cherry picking. I loved it when people wanted all the options. They
Yeah.
wanted the deck jets with the fiber optic lights, and they wanted the raised spa and the booster pumps and especially I loved the last pool I did was my favorite pool. Beach entrance, 3 waterfalls, deck jets, which are they're like a water cannon that shoots out a stream of water. It looks like an acrylic rod.
Yeah,
and it's got light that falls behind it. They're cool. Anyway, so that was my favorite pool. But I love doing those, and it was a big project. I mean, that's what I'm wired for. So I did I think I last count, including my own, I did 13, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're doing it all by yourself, I did as much as I could. I did the excavation, I did the rebar, I paid the gunite guys, I had a plaster guys, I had a tile guy that worked for the gunite guy. And then I did all the equipment set, all the electrical, did most of the work for the concrete, except that I would hire guys to place and finish because I couldn't do 4,000 square feet concrete on my own. But yeah, so it was great. It was a lot of fun. I love managing the jobs. I love doing the jobs. I love before and afters. I'm a big before and after guy. So I did some retaining walls for people that were we pushed the yard back because they were on a slope. Like I said, I did the pool house. I did a couple of real nice pools house. One for a guy named Eric, and another guy for a guy named George. They're both friends now, but it was a lot of fun. And that was kind of one of those things where they let me tell me what I need, and just because they knew they were saving a bunch of money because most pool contractors in California charge a lot, and especially when everybody had equity in homes before the
just pulling
crash.
out.
My gosh. Yeah, they were charging 100, 120 grand for a pool. Not even a real fancy pool.
Yeah.
And I could do what they were doing plus some for like 80.
Yeah.
So people were thinking, wow, I got 40 grand to play with. Let's do a pool house.
Yeah.
Let's do all the options. Can you do outdoor audio? Yeah, sure. Whatever you want.
So you're, let's say you're 15 years into your career, right? So that means your kids are what, 8, 10, 9, 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
So you're doing pools on the side. You're then what does the job look like then, like 15, 20 years in?
Well, because I'd done it so long, it came second nature. So work, the main job, I didn't struggle with it at all anymore. It was very easy for me. You know, I knew every machine like the back of my hand. I know who to call. I knew where to get parts. I knew what parts I would need. I had everything in inventory. So it made it easier for me to side hustle. And that's the thing is I tell a lot of younger guys, don't side hustle until you're good at what you do with your main job, because otherwise you're just going to be distracted.
Yeah.
You need to focus. You need to get really good at what you do, what your main gig is before you side hustle. I mean, onesie twosies, no big deal, but really to do it almost on a part-time basis, like you have another 20-hour-a-week job, you need to get good at your main job.
Would you say the side hustles you chose, did that make you better at your job?
Yeah. They gained me experience for sure. And that's, you know, and I my whole life has been an experience of learning with everything, with, you know, any part of the trade. I just was hungry to learn it.
Did you ever have any problems with the management or anything? Did they ever?
With, no, none. I had one guy that was a part owner that kind of gave me a ration of stuff, you know, just like, you know, are you working overtime tonight? No, I'm not. I got something to do. Oh, you're building pools, you know, kind of thing. But, you know, I was already scheduled to be gone. So that was the only time ever really. That was one guy, and he was just, that's how he was wired. He was kind of a bitter guy. You know, I had a nice car and was managing to make it all happen, and he wasn't too happy about it. I don't know why.
That's weird. I think you'd want to see your people do well.
I would think, you know, I would think so.
So then you're kind of on, you know, so the main, like say year 10, 15, 20, 25 all look pretty similar.
Yeah. So except for instead of focusing on pools, because it's hard work.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it's hard work. You're in a ditch a lot. You're in a hole. Your bend and rebar is hard on the back, and while I needed it, once I got comfortable enough and got far out ahead of it enough that I had some money in the bank, I started choosing to do jobs I really wanted to do that weren't backbreaking.
Okay.
Kitchen and bathroom models, I enjoy those a lot. So I started transitioning back to doing those. So I did several of those, which are fun. You know, I love doing demo and doing it before and after, like I said. So I started doing those more. The last pool I built was probably 2012. Okay. But there was never a point in my life that I can remember that I wasn't doing something on the side, you know, and, you know, it was, I think it did all that experience, you know, I tell you everything that I've done in my life led me to where I am now here, you know, because I have that well-rounded knowledge and experience. I was doing detailed mechanical work and I really have to thank everybody that gave me the opportunity. My dad, my previous employer, you know, they cut me loose, you know, and that's, maybe they saw something in me, you know.
It sounds to me like the big advantage was a lot of times they'd let you do it young.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Too
Absolutely.
young.
Yeah.
A lot of that not on the same, in the same vein, but same thing in my life. Like a lot of times I was allowed to do things younger than anybody else.
Right.
You know, whether it was playing a sport, I'd be playing with the adults, and they'd invite me to play even though I was new at it. Or whether I was, you know, became a manager at Merrill Lynch, I was always the youngest.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a real advantage in life if you can figure out a way to convince older, talented people that you're young and you want to be older and talented too.
Yep.
That give you a shot.
Yep.
But you got to ask for it, and people can sniff out eagerness.
100%. I think that's what it was, because I asked a few times, but I hardly ever had to ask. I think they saw the eagerness, and I wasn't afraid to share the things that I was doing outside of work and say, listen, you know, I can do this. If this ever comes up, I know construction, I can build, you know, this and that. And they just gave me the shot, and then proof's in the pudding, right? If you do it and you screw up, they're probably never going to let you do it again.
Right.
But if you do it and you do it well, then you got it.
So then let's we missed out on in this storytelling, you know, some of the cars, and so you have Supra, and then what is the car progression during these? Let's do to the, say, up to the 30th year of.
Yeah. So I had to take a step back. I had the Supra, then I had another Supra, and then I had to sell because we had kids. So I had to start to get practical. So I went from Toyota Supra back to another Toyota pickup truck.
Okay.
And then the only, it's funny. So we bought I don't know if you probably have seen them. You know what they are. It's an Volvo 850 turbo sport wagon.
Mm-hmm.
So we charcoal gray. That was our family car.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like my only flex really, because the family wagon, if I'm going to buy a wagon, that's going to be the one I would want back then. This is 95. So this is when Taylor was born.
Okay.
So I picked her up at the hospital in the brand new. Brand new. I picked it up at Lawrence Volvo in Walnut Creek, California.
Okay.
I picked it up the morning she was born. I went and picked the car up and then picked her up in it.
Huh.
Yeah. So that was really the only cool car, if you call it cool, a Volvo.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the cool car we had. And then I had a Toyota 4-wheel drive, a silver one, extra cab.
Because you needed to.
I needed it. Yeah. And they didn't make a 4-door truck yet, so it was an extra cab. So I could just sandwich a car seat, rear-facing car seat in there.
Mm.
So I had that for a lot of years. I had that for probably 6 years. Yeah, and then so no real cool cars for a while, because it was all about kids, putting them through private school, buying another house.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finally got a truck. I got rid of the Toyota. Got totaled. Okay. Some lady on the freeway. I was doing 65 in the fast lane. I'm coming home from the doctor because I had broken my shoulder, and I was coming home in the fast lane. And there's another highway that transitions into Highway 80 called Highway 680. And this lady's in the far right lane in her Mercedes, like an old 300D. She decides she's going to get in the fast lane. Now her lane's doing like 25. My lane is doing 65.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't look over her shoulder, just gets over. I'm on the brakes, no analog brakes.
Yeah.
Smash her, ruin her car, total my truck. So it was my excuse to get a new truck. So I bought a 2001 Toyota S-Runner, which is the V6 manual.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a bunch of stuff to that. I put the TRD supercharger on it, TRD headers. I had a Willwood custom big brake kit made for it.
Mm-hmm.
Did that, lowered it. That was cool. It was a fun truck.
Did you ever do anything car mechanically wise? Any side hustle in there too?
Yeah, I did a lot. I rebuilt a lot of engines. Because I've always been a Toyota guy.
Yeah.
So everybody would come to me for Toyotas. When I had my 85, I took it apart, took the head off, had the head sent to this place called LC Engineering in LA. They poured it and polished it until and I was like 17 years old wrenching on this thing. My dad freaked out. I come home with the fire department.
It's all torn apart.
And I usually look at the top of the pistons. He's like, son, what have you done? I'm like, I can do it, Dad. But how are you going to time it? Wouldn't you even know what you're doing? I read the manual. I know how to do it. I can do it. So anyway, I got into that early on, and so I did do a lot of little, fun jobs. I didn't really get paid a lot. I would charge people cheap. I was like $1,000 to rebuild a 22 RE motor. Mm-hmm. You buy the parts, I'll rebuild it and put it back in the car, in the truck. So I did those. So that's what I got. That's kind of where I cut my teeth on really getting serious into motor work. Was that doing that at night?
So you got your new Toyota while after the totaling. Then what?
So I had the S-Runner, and then that got totaled.
Okay.
So similar situation. I'm on the way home from work.
Sounds like there's a common theme here.
Yeah,
like
it might be me driving fast. It could be me driving
You're
fast.
the totaler.
I'm the totaler. Yeah, that's maybe right. So anyway, there's a 2-lane going each way. I'm in the far right lane, so I'm in the slower lane, right? Mm-hmm. So this guy pulls out from a housing development, a lifted Ford, big jacked up. He can't see me. I'm in this little tiny truck. So instead of him staying in the center lane where the the median is, he goes all the way to my lane. Now I'm cruising like 60. It's a 45. I'm speeding. I'm not gonna lie. I was speeding. I went right under his truck, hit the rear tire, and the tire sucked me up in the air. The hood went under his bed. I was looking at sky, and then it came down and twisted the frame, so I had to get rid of that truck. And then I bought an F350 dually crew cab 4-wheel drive.
Okay.
And then lifted that, did a bunch of crazy stuff to that. 460 in it, got 9 miles to the gallon. But it was great for the kids.
Yeah, lots of room.
So roomy.
Yeah.
I put plastic in the bed of the truck, like a tarp, filled it with water, let the kids play in there. So I didn't own that for long. It just was impractical.
Yeah.
So I sold that thing, and then I bought I'm trying to think when I bought the BMW. I think I had the 550i for a while. So that was my stint with an executive vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah.
New or?
No, it was a 2-year-old lease return.
Okay.
So it was a titanium silver, black interior.
So that was an E39.
E60.
Oh, E60 generation.
E60, yeah. So I wanted an M5, but they were trouble already. So everybody knew. So I bought that. And anyway, so I rode that for a while. Ended up doing some stuff to that. I did the dual exhaust conversion, put a carbon fiber diffuser on the rear. I lowered it, put some nice wheels on it, tinted the windows, and cruised it. It was great going to and from work, but ultimately it wasn't practical because now I can't haul anything. I can't haul lumber. I can't stop on the Home Depot on the way home from work and pick up anything. I had to go home, get my truck, and then go get something. So I ended up selling that.
Okay.
And then gas prices went crazy, so I thought, I'm going to get a practical car. Let me get a WRX.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was going to get a WRX hatch. Went and looked at those. There was a charcoal gray one. I drove it. I liked it, but they wouldn't budge. They wanted a sticker for it. Don't ask me why. I didn't think it was worth it, but they wanted it. So I ended up with a Focus ST.
Okay.
Performance blue. Drove that for 45,000 miles to and from work when I didn't need the truck. And and that was that. And so the progression led me to the M3.
Right.
So I'm done with alimony.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask. Okay, so now you feel like you're a baller, right?
Now I'm a baller. Now I just got a huge raise, right?
Yeah.
So no more alimony. I had actually, child support had dropped off too for my oldest.
Yeah.
So I'm like, now I've got some money and I really, really like M3. I wanted an E92, but back then I was still paying. I couldn't do it. And now the F80 generation came out.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's how I found you. Was I was already looking at exhaust systems for an E92 when you had your Le Mans and you were doing your old, videos of exhaust runs. Anyway, so I bought the M3, and that's that. I thought, man, this is the greatest thing I ever owned.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, but you didn't really drive it much, right? You just kind of parked it.
I coveted it. I just looked at it like, I drove it. I mean,
like a Friday to work or something.
To work every once in a while. I rarely drove it to work, honestly, because I was worried about, we worked near an oil refinery, I was worried about fallout on the paint,
Yeah.
So I drove it mostly to Cars and Coffee, to go get coffee, I sometimes get Starbucks. So dinner, that kind of thing. Dates, date nights.
So you, from the time what age did you get your divorce?
I was 37.
So then you're a man about town. How does this work with kids?
Man about town. No, I wasn't actually. I didn't have the time. I dated a girl for a very short time. We met at P.F. Chang's.
Okay.
So I dated a girl for a little while there.
Classy joint. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I went with a buddy of mine, and I was like 3 weeks maybe, and she was too far away. So I didn't stay long, and then I dated a girl that was our HR manager at my job.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that was probably not a good idea. And we didn't tell anybody.
Okay, yeah.
So it was on the down
super
low.
Secret.
Yeah. So I dated her for a while. It was super secret. Like, nobody knew. People maybe had an idea because we kind of flirted in the office. But and then I had someone, I don't even like talking about her. I had someone that used to babysit my kids. And she was a neighbor. She got a divorce. So we started hanging out with the kids, kind of thing. Going to Scandia, which is like a, those stupid things with the tubes with the kids climb through, and maybe ice cream or something. So we started seeing each other, and I wish I could take that back. Anyway, so that lasted a long time.
Okay, so that's the one I know about.
You know, and she's anyway, it seemed all right for a while. Yeah. But she had other plans apparently. So got past that. Her daughter had some struggles, and so that didn't help our relationship, let's just say. I tried to be, I wasn't a stepdad because we weren't married, but tried to be a good guy and help her daughter through her struggles, this and that, and that just didn't work. So we ended up calling it quits. She actually moved in with her crazy thing. She ended up moving back in with her ex-husband. And her daughter was living there. She said, I want to help my daughter. Her daughter was pregnant at the time, so she left. So anyway, yeah, that's probably my least.
That got you off the hook.
Yeah, it got me off the hook. Yeah, that's my least favorite thing to talk about. You got it out of me though. So anyway, got rid of, and then met Maureen. So
Yeah.
and now life's been bliss ever since.
So let's go into the OG story. And so you're watching videos. My first recollection was when you had sent me. I'm sure we talked before that, but I was that was in my invite everybody to do everything phase.
I remember.
I don't remember much about that
Yep.
or every single person. My first recollection is when you sent an email. I think it was an email photo of you and Trevor and I think maybe Taylor in the Be Obsessed or Be Average shirt that was a copy
Christmas.
off of Grant Cardone. That Josh screwed me on.
Yeah. You and I had talked on the phone. Well, we emailed back and forth. You used to post questions when you would make a video. You would say, "Oh, how do I do this?" Or anybody got any ideas? So email me at matt@gmail. I forget what it was. mattmormon@gmail.com or whatever it was. So I'd email you, "Hey, here's how you should do this." And then so we started talking with email, and then you called me out of the blue one time about you were thinking about buying an S2000, the CR, and you had called me randomly. I'm like, what number is this? And it was Florida. And this is Matt. Hey, I need your help. Talk me out of buying this S2000. And I didn't,
I did that. I don't remember.
Yeah, you totally did. I sat and talked to you for about 20 minutes about the S2000, and I'm looking at it from, what does he mean? Financially talking about it? Like it's not a good financial move. I'm trying to figure you out on the fly. But in hindsight, it was just a way to connect and talk and let's break the ice and let's talk about something.
So maybe you would text me that photo, so I probably had your number. I think
you did. Yeah. You did. I texted it to you, and then you called me. Yeah, it was after that you called me. And then we just started talking every once in a while, emailing back and forth, and then
because I think you'd sent me some photos of like I was talking about buying a forklift, and you sent me a photo of that giant Toyota thing that you guys had or something.
The one I got the spec and order in.
Yeah. I thought you owned the company.
Yeah, that's funny.
I assumed that you owned. Man, this guy's a baller, and he's got this giant
$300,000 forklift. Yeah.
And so then. When was so then I probably the moderators when I started inviting people I thought I thought could be a good fit to be moderators.
Yeah, people that were kind of bought in with what your vision and what same.
So one night I was sitting there and I'm like, let me go back through the sort of the Rolodex of the people that I've met that have been contributors. So like Jared Toops and Ed Camden, Levi from the Rag Company. Brandon Boychuk,
Troy.
Yeah. So there was a group of people that I'm like, I just think, maybe these guys could help me out. Was Shane? I think Shane.
Yeah. Shane Wendell was in the first. Yep.
I'm trying to think who else.
Are we talking about the moderator weekend when we came out, or when you just did the moderators for the Facebook group?
So I did the moderators for the Facebook group, and then it probably wasn't maybe 6 months after that. Then I said, hey, let's have moderators weekend. I got in the S2000.
Yep.
I'd gotten the Raptor. I had the white Raptor. Yep. Let's get it. I had the garage over by my Raymond James office. Let's get everybody together. We met at the whatever that pizza place was right next to. I think it was Flippers.
Yeah, it
maybe,
was. I think it was
in Brownwood, and then we all kind of got together, and that's when magic happened. Yeah. Like I thought I was gonna have to like entertain, and like I didn't have to do anything.
It just worked out. Everybody just.
I had Corey from Car Pro and Levi from the Rag Company. Were technically competitors, and they're talking. It's everything just connected.
Bradley Nilsson was there.
I had met him from the esoteric training. And
Billy was there.
Yeah, Billy did come up. Yeah,
and then we had Martin.
Oh, that's right, Martin Olivio. He was one of the moderators too. Yeah. He was like our young guy, and the other moderator was. He's in New Jersey. Good-looking dude.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry, he's gonna kill us.
Oh my gosh. How come I can't?
I'm trying to remember everybody's name.
Does it begin with an? He's Italian.
Yeah.
Always dressed nicely. What's his name?
God dang it, he's gonna kill us. I'm trying to remember everybody's name.
Why am I drawing a blank?
We'll come back to it in a second.
Anyway, it'll hit us.
So anyway, we put it out there, and I. This is one of the times where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to invite everybody to come. I don't have the money to like pay for everybody's plane tickets.
We just all made it happen. Yeah.
Right. And so, but I felt real awkward. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I don't even really have that much money to like, because I'm spending all this money on all this stuff. Like to make videos. I wasn't making anything on Obsessed Garage. I was just, just spending my money that I was making in wealth management. And then I'm like, how do I do this? And so part of that and it's kind of Ed and Jared and some of these young guys kind of not that they turned on me, it ran its course, and then some of the young guys that I invited into the fold early, even Bradley, he was like, this guy's, I'm trying to figure it out, and like this guy's taking advantage of all of us, and so I think I maybe over invited,
maybe
to an extent, and then from there, we had what the Rupes was that next, the Rupes event?
No, I mean, not for you and me. I mean, we did that, yes. I think...
Was it Prevost next?
Yeah. So...
Or no, the invitation of shortly after that, I'm like, hey, I got this building. My parents are moving down.
Yeah, that's what it was. I came here and we did...
It was me, you, Raz, Chelsea, and several other people came.
No, we came before that. I was before that. That was the second time. That was when we did the shelving. First time was Jenny Compressor.
That's what I'm saying, the shelving. Yeah,
we did,
That was the opening of OG. And that was the initial.
So I can remember you sent, maybe you remember this. You sent me a screenshot of your spreadsheet when you were just doing T-shirts. Do you remember that? You sent me, it was the end of the year spreadsheet. You had made $99,000 in T-shirt sales, right? Yeah. And you're like, man, this might be something. I can maybe do this. Yeah, that was the I think it was 1 year into Obsessed Garage, maybe, that you actually were selling something, right?
I started selling T-shirts in late 2016. So I started selling pressure washers January 2017. So it was, I think, August of 2016 when I first sold my first T-shirt.
Yeah.
So I had 4 months of T-shirt sales, and I sold like $100,000.
Yeah, was it 4 months? Yeah, 4 months. I know it was towards the end of the year when you sent me that screenshot.
Yeah, I was doing like $10,000, $13,000, $14,000 a month, and then I had a few like 20,000s or whatever in it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is great. And then shortly after that, I figured out that, I don't know, Josh lost like 100 T-shirts. Just disappeared. And when we did inventory, I'm like, this is not going to work. And that's when I have like, look, I was paying him 30% of the profit. Could you imagine?
That's very nice of you.
I was like, yeah, we can do, we'll do 70-30 because that's what the T-shirt company was going to do that I was going to hire.
Right. So you thought you just break him
up. Then after I did the inventory and I did the math, I'm like, I'm losing money. The only one making any money is Josh.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I've got to let him go. I just got to do this myself. And so then about 2 weeks of me doing that myself, I called my parents and said, look,
I need your help.
Can I pay you like $700 a month or something? That's the math. That's what the math is telling me I can afford to do.
Right.
And still make enough to reinvest back in. And by the way, I just got these quick disconnects, so I send that to you too. And then of course we all know what happened from there.
Yep.
So you came out and helped with the shelves and all of that.
Yep.
And then after that was Prevost piping, and now I'm starting to use and abuse you, right?
Yeah. So I
eventually started at least paying for your plane ticket, didn't I?
No. That's okay though. I don't care. No, I honestly. So how in my mind, I saw something in you, and I thought, this guy's a good guy. I just want to see it succeed. I mean, partly it was selfishness because I wanted OG to become something because I bought into it. I loved it, and I thought, this guy is a hard worker. He's got kids. I just something about you I liked. So I thought, yeah, let me help him. So I had a time, much like you, I didn't take vacation very much.
Yeah.
So I had hundreds of hours of vacation saved up my last job. So I'm like, yeah, anything you want to do, I'll help you do it. And then so we did, I just would take vacation, take a week at a time, come out here, hang out.
And I invited Tony. That's right, Tony.
Tony came once, yeah.
And so we're missing, I just started inviting people to do stuff.
Yeah.
To the point of where, like with Ed and Jared and Bradley, some of the young guys, I'd probably turn them off because it got to the point to where like, man, this guy's it wasn't an invitation. It was like, I think some people maybe thought it was an expectation, which it
It
never was for me.
No. In fact,
And the older guys knew that.
yeah.
Like, look, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I would, for myself, I would just volunteer. I was like, what you want to do? I'll do. I can do that. So it was fun for me. It was a hang. Like being out here, hanging out with you was cool. We had some downtime. We'd watch movies in your theater room back in Woodgate.
Got you in the GT3 for the first time.
Yep.
You almost killed me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I still have that video on my phone.
Yeah, I was scared to death. I was like, all right, that's enough.
That's all I got. That's what you said. That's all I got. We had about 125 on that back road. That was it.
I'm like, there's a dip coming here.
There's Matty. That was it. Yeah, so that lit the fire into me to get mine. That's where it really started. But anyway, we can hit that later. But yeah, so
then we started doing more and more projects, right?
Yep.
We did Ed's garage,
Yep.
And then we did Emmanuel's garage, and
Yep.
by then, at some point, even maybe before then, I said, I'm going to figure out how to
hire you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to figure out how to get this.
We were here in this building right here. I can remember where I was. I was over where the CR Spotless used to be in the pressure washer. I was doing something on the ground with Prevo, and you were standing over here, and you just said, hey, someday I'm going to hire you.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah. What do you think about that? I'm like, oh, just let me know, And then it was kind of like, we talked about it every once in a while. You say, when I get the business this far, I'm going to call you someday. You're going to get a call.
Yeah.
And you did.
And so I had a different number in mind that I thought Mike made. And so I told him, all right, let's go. And it was a lot more than I thought. And so I'm like, oh, crap. But then I'm like, well, I called Rick. I said, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah. All right. Give me a couple of days. I had to move some money around, sell some stuff.
I remember that.
Like, let me figure out how to do this.
I remember that. I remember that conversation. I was sitting at my desk and okay, so what's it going to take? And,
yeah. So everybody was concerned about Mike getting paid well. Mike, at some point, hopefully this thing's going to double and triple, and we'll all make more.
Yeah.
So I think we're all, Kyle and Bryce and Mike and me and all of us, we're kind of sacrificing ourselves, our current growth for that future potential that is coming. I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
I've been so fortunate to aggregate just this amazing team of humans, and I think that we're going to continue to see substantial growth, and then I think we're going to have some periods where I think this Adam LZ project is going to be insane. There's going to be some really insane upward trajectory movements over the course of the next couple of decades that are going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
So then you have the pilgrimage to Florida, right? And so a lot of people's questions were like, so what's Mike's take on the difference between California and Florida? Things like cost-wise, weather-wise, things
huge.
like that.
I mean, the cost. Well, now things are going up here, but the cost was huge difference. I mean, what I ended up spending the same on a house,
right?
But what I got instead of what I had is the big difference. I got a lot more for my money. And there's no state income tax, which is great. California is known for high taxation. Every avenue.
So I think my wager is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's helped you to your side hustles become the property, right? And no one's paying you for that.
Nope, that is my side hustle.
Right, and so you've has Florida afforded you the ability to maybe take a few years off of side hustling, so you could maybe hustle for yourself for a little while?
Yeah,
is that the thought process?
Yeah, I think what really the side hustle was more. It wasn't necessary financially anymore. It was just an addiction to the projects.
Okay.
And what I think the property now, I have 10 acres with a guest house and the house and the barn and outbuildings. I think what it's done is it's given me the project, that's what satisfies me. I get home and I can do things that I want to do, and some of it's just yard work, and I enjoy that too. But it's the projects of doing painting the barn and reflooring the barn and painting the outside of the house, and now I'm starting to plan out the garage build and those kinds of things. So I don't need to do it financially anymore, but I do need it mentally, if you will. I just, I'm not a guy. Sometimes I sit on the couch, but It's not very often.
It's usually when I'm there, right?
Yeah, usually when we're.
I've been there for 2 hours, and he's like, "Well, maybe I would go and take a break."
Yeah, maybe. It's kind of a good influence. Maureen thinks I don't relax enough. She says you need to relax more. But yeah, it's so that's the biggest difference. I mean, and the weather's it's hotter where I lived, but not humid. Mm-hmm. So when it says it's feels like 105 here, that's where I used to live. It really was 105, 108. So it was like working in a blow dryer. It was hot. So the heat doesn't bother me. Humidity gets a little, as you know, you get the Florida funk on your clothes and stuff. I wasn't used to that.
People different here?
People are much different here. People are more friendly here. People let you go when you want to, you're in an intersection. They just, go ahead. California was not like that. People there are, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's maybe as bad as New York, but people are in such a hurry. They're so pissed off. With having to commute, having to drive far, traffic, maybe the cost of everything. I don't know. It's a different environment completely. I mean, there's a few things I miss, but now that we have the Helen House we go to, I miss less of California because we have the mountains. We go up there, we mountain bike, we hike. That's the one thing that was hard to leave in California was the Yosemites and Tahoe and the lakes with no alligators. But now that I'm here, I don't miss California at all.
Any regrets?
None.
Yeah, same here. When I moved a long 20 something years ago, but I've never once thought, man, maybe I should go back.
Yeah, no, I don't regret it at all.
Maybe I missed out on something.
I mean, and the other thing too is working for a friend and your vision, it's addicting. It's you don't want to work for someone that's just sitting around and just saying, you know what, this is good enough. We don't need to build it out anymore. Let's just stay where we are. So I chase projects, you chase everything else, and you do chase projects too, because you love projects just as much as I do, I think. So
yeah, and I think that the Helen House taught us what life can be. Like me, you, and Waba sitting there like, man, I feel bad for all the guys having to stay back in Florida, and they probably feel bad for us because we're working like crazy people. But I mean, just imagine where the next projects are going to take us. We're going to be in, we're going to be in Calgary, and we're going to be in Ireland, and we're going to be all over the darn world. It's going to be, I think, pretty crazy the next
it will be.
Next 20 years or so.
I totally agree with you. And that's speaking of that. So Maureen's wondering, when are you going to retire? I hate to tell you this, but it's going to be a while. I don't know if I mean, how do you give up something you love doing and get paid for it? It's tough. I mean, she wants to travel and do that. We'll do that for sure. We'll go on vacations and things like that. But I'm not a retire at 55, 60-year-old kind of guy. I just don't see that happening for me. And plus, what would I do?
Well, and also, unless you've hit the lottery, it's kind of hard to do that.
Oh, that too, of course.
Because then you'd have to ratchet back all the things that you like doing.
Love. Yeah, there's
or you have to fill in the time, and now you need twice as much money.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
And so I've been inclined to let me just figure out a way to to do more of what I like to do and have it pay me more.
Yeah, no, that's the beauty about being here, and I'm sure, I hope all these guys that work here, they're all younger guys. I'm probably not one of the oldest guys. So that's something I will have to say that if you love what you do, it's not like work. I mean, there's days when I'm sweating my butt off out there, and it's work. But it's still, you got to back up and think about where you are and what you're doing and who you're working with and the stuff you get to do.
Yeah.
The cool stuff we get to sell, the cool stuff we get to play with. Destination OG, I mean, that was that $145,000 garage that we got to do.
Oh, way more than that. Like 300, yeah.
Well, I'm saying material. Was it really that much?
Well, that's if you were to buy all that crap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, how often do you get to do that? I mean, yeah, it's work, but if you're into what we're into, it doesn't feel like work. I mean, yeah, we're working 12, 14 hours a day. We're exhausted, hardly get out of bed in the morning because all our joints hurt, but it's fun.
I had to think about that quite a bit because we're about to go do this crazy project. We don't know how it's going to go. We'll go to Adam LZ's house, and I've been having to do just a lot of work, to get prepared for it, and And I was yelling at them one day because they weren't making decisions, and I'm like, you got to freaking help me out here. Like, if I tell you this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, because you want what I know what you want. Let me do it for you. And so there's just been this kind of up and down. And the other day I had to sit and think. I said, you know what, this is I'm gonna have to invite Mike to give his life for this next 2 months. I'm gonna give my own too. We're gonna ask some of the OG crew to help us as well. For what I believe to be another potential leg up for all of us. And I had to think about the positives of, I kept thinking about, man, this is going to be hard. This is going to be hard. And I started thinking about all of the like, to even be able to do it and sort of become grateful for the opportunity.
Right. And
to let go of some of the negatives, like, oh man, it's gonna be, Mike and I are gonna be, it's gonna be too much, and then then our families are gonna be, sacrificing, and then I'm not gonna be here at OG, and so then how's that gonna go? And so I stopped thinking about all that crap, and I just started thinking about, like, what is this? What am I doing? Why are we doing this? What is the gain? What is the potential here? Right. And so now I'm getting kind of excited about it. In this process of how this is going to go and what this could lead to in the future. Yeah. And we need a muse, we need a project in order to do this, and so what better way to do it than do it for a buddy that will kind of let me do what I want. You know? And so I think that this is going to lead into other things of us basically building homes and developing all kinds of products, and then also garnering quite a bit of attention for that. I'm not much of an attention seeker, but you need attention in order to be able to generate. So that way I can then deliver on all this stuff I'm promising everybody. Hey, a lot of these young guys have made big sacrifices. I feel like we've gotten everybody to a level that's nicely survivable, and then the future is, hey, this could be insane. Worst case scenario, you had a lot of fun and you got paid pretty well to do it. And then if we don't take off, then we can figure out what to do after that. But I think that the sacrifices we're making are going to be paid handsomely in the future.
I agree.
So now we're here today, and I think a lot of people want to know about the new car. And so you got a new car that you haven't really shared much about.
Not yet. No, I really haven't.
And people really want to see that come onto the channel. So what's the you want to update people on that aren't familiar.
So as we already mentioned, I drove your RS, your .1. And when we were going to, I think we were going to sushi or whatever, I drove that car, and I always wanted a Porsche. It seems like every BMW guy, the next car is going to be a Porsche, So I wanted one badly. I can remember when the GT3 first came out, and I wasn't really a huge fan, but they didn't look that great like they do now. But anyway, so I ended up buying a 991.1 Ultraviolet GT3 RS, and I love it, man. It's the exact spec that I would have ordered if I had the chance to order one new. So it's black interior. It's got the GT silver stitching, as you know. I didn't want the yellow seat belts or the yellow stitching. It's got gray gauges, which I wanted. It's got the carbon buckets, carbon ceramics. It's exactly what I wanted, and I freaking love it. I wish I could drive it every day, but I need my truck. I'm going to drive it. I didn't, unlike the BMW, I made the mistake with the BMW of owning it and just washing it and looking at it and driving it here and there. I love driving the car. When we went to Smokies with it, I absolutely had the most fun I've ever had in a car. And it kind of taught me I need to drive them. Because they're not necessarily investments. Even though I think of it as, I could sell it right now for $80,000, or I could sell the GT3 RS for $200,000. I have to just drive it because that's what I bought them for. I bought them to enjoy, and I don't have 20 cars to. What's wrong?
Ooh.
That doesn't sound good.
Do you remember going up to that big building on Rolling Acres there that we looked at? That was a
it was a It's on the right side if you're coming from the storage. Or no, left side. Is it which one? Because we looked at two.
Yeah, it's on the if you're heading toward the Villages or heading north to 441.
Yep.
So if you go down Rolling Acre or you go down 466 and you turn right.
Yep.
It's on the right. It's the old big bank building.
Yeah, I remember it.
And Bryn's
they wanted a lot of money for it.
Yeah, well, he's telling me that they want to get rid of it.
Oh, like get rid of it for cheap, hopefully.
I think probably a reasonable number. I think, what was it, 30 something thousand square feet?
Yeah, it was 35 or 33. That's pretty.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
It's like half of what they were asking. Talk about a project.
Yeah. Yeah, just about almost finished with a shed. Now we have to
gotta
drag
move
it over there.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I need to go there and look at it.
Yeah, we never looked at it inside.
We never got in it. Yeah.
We just looked at it from the street. Yeah. And then you looked at the price like, oh, no.
Yeah, it was insane.
Stupid money.
But I could make this number work. And I bet you if they're willing to let it go for that, they probably
maybe let it go for even less.
Help me out a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe carry the financing.
Yeah. Shoot.
Well, wheels are turning. I can see it.
Yeah. I think we just ended our podcast here, people. Anything else we're missing? We told the Mike story that everybody's been waiting for forever.
Yeah,
Man About Town. You like that one?
What was it?
The Man About Town.
Yeah, Man About Town. I like that. Yeah, that was a nice way to put it. I was not a man, WHORE, if that's what you're alluding to. I was not. No, I was not. I was too focused on work. Yeah. So
what's the homestead plan for you? Like for your house? What is your progression? What are you planning?
So painting the exterior right now. It was a farm green color, so I'm painting it Sherwin-Williams. It's a white, just whatever their white is with tricorn black trim. And then I'm gonna do the garage next. I need to do the garage. Garage is it's for someone that does garages for a living. My garage is horrible. It's epoxy floor. The walls are green. I did do some of it. I had the air handlers used to be suspended from the ceiling, so I moved those into the attic where they go. Yeah, and patched all the ceiling up.
One of the biggest projects.
Yeah, right. It is. Now I'm gonna get rid of the water heater, put a tankless in, so that goes away. Okay. So I'm kind of doing the infrastructure stuff ahead of time. I'll probably do some electrical and get the lighting pre-wired done. And then that's kind of the next. Now I was gonna remodel the kitchen and the bathroom. I'm gonna end up remodeling the whole house probably. Yeah, but it's got to start with the garage. I got to get it done. I do have the barn space that I can do dirty work in. So the garage will just be kind of, for looking. It'll be for the cars and some detailing. I'm not going to do any work in the garage, like construction related. So I do that in the barn, which is nice to have that and be able to go out there and make a mess and not stress over it. So that's probably the next go is that. And then the garage basically, and then probably remodel our bathroom. Our master bath. It's funny. The house was like, it's a farm, but they did it all Tuscan style. So it's got oranges and kind of I don't even know what you call it, apricot colors, and the walls used to be painted like rusty colored. Yeah. It was very
rust orange.
Yeah, exactly.
With the little sponge faux. Extra fancy.
Yep. So fortunately, they painted it before we bought it. So now it's like a kind of I don't even know what color it is, like a light blue.
Just enough to hold you over.
Yeah, for a little while, right? So but big plans. I mean, it's a lot of house to remodel, but I'm gonna start somewhere. Garage is where it's going next. I've got to plan it out. I've already got a plan in my head, so I just need to buy the stuff, get it all there, because I want to do like we do with all our garages. I want to get everything there. I don't want to piecemeal it together. I want to have everything there and just go and be done.
I could always be convinced to shoot a series.
Yeah, we could do that for sure.
Yeah, especially if I just have to show up and present.
You'd be like Bob Vila. just come up, you know.
Yeah, let's do it in the winter.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, yeah. I need to put a mini split in before we work on the garage.
Yeah,
so it's
temperature
temperature control.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you gonna paint the ceiling black or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not a big black
I
ceiling
don't think
guy.
so. I think no, I don't think so. I know that people say it looks, it's for this and that. I don't really like it.
Yeah.
I like it white with the light gray walls.
So our big project's coming up. We got the LZ project first.
Mhm.
We've got Lena's outdoor kitchen,
Yep.
which will be probably after that, which was my old Woodgate house. We've got then my flooring and kitchen to do.
Yeah, we have your sauna
My
to
sauna,
do. We're gonna rip
yeah.
out your bathtub and put a sauna in.
We've got a bunch of projects that we just added to phase 6 of Destination OG.
Yeah.
Then probably after that, we have the neighbor's house that we'll try to get,
Mhm.
and remodel that thing.
Yep.
So we got a lot of
Lot.
projects coming up. We'd like to do a garage giveaway at some point here. I think in December is the plan.
Yeah. Yep.
So we'll have that project to do, and we're
Yep.
going to make sure that we can do it.
Yeah.
The winner has to be live. They're
Mhm.
going to have to pick up the phone.
Yep.
They're going to have to then show me their garage, and then we'll approve.
Do you live in Hawaii? Okay, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, we do a $100,000 garage, but I generate $400,000 in profit.
That would be nice.
Yeah. So I can actually pay for it. So
Yeah.
anyway, thanks for telling your story, Mike. Thanks
Yep.
everybody for watching,
Yep.
and a bunch of videos coming up. We got tons of good videos. There's
Yeah.
a great video of the updated tour of the Helen House. I do have 4 weeks this year, and I told Manny, I said, it was the original promo, $5,000 all in, no tax. So I'll eat the
nice.
tax. So those 4 weeks, one of them's like next week and the following week, and then 2 weeks like in November. So if you're somewhat close, or you can get on a plane, or you can get there, the house does. I do have 4 weeks for the remainder of the year. Hit me up, Matt at obsessedgarage.com or Manny at obsessedgarage.com. $5,000. No tax, and that'll be the last time I ever do that. Really, what
Yeah.
I'm trying to do is generate money to pay my property tax. That's
Yeah.
what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, we can't go. We're going to be too busy.
Yeah. So if I could sell those, 4 weeks, I could come up with half of my property tax.
Yeah, bring your mountain bike.
Yeah. I did buy mountain bikes. I don't know when they'll be in, but it'll be soon. But they
Yeah.
won't be there yet. So yeah, if
Yeah.
you want a mountain bike, bring your own.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. We'll see you, everybody. Thanks
All
for
right.
watching.
Thanks.
Oh, these chairs are hard to get out of.
I should have taken sunglasses off.
Well, maybe we won't be doing OG Canada.